All right. So I've got mixed feelings about this one, boys. I'll have to see what you guys think of it. So we are getting a new Lord of the Rings movie. Now, along with this announcement, we've just had the trailer for the Rings of Power. I don't know if any of you watched that one. I was more forgiving of that show than most a little bit. I think it started off sort of well, then ended not so well. There was bits, there was moments, but I totally understand that was a big bag of poo-poo. So I am a fan of the Lord of the Rings, though, especially the extended editions. Like, love that. Mouth of Sauron, you can't beat it, all that good stuff. But then we get The Hobbit, which is a little bit of a train wreck for me. It's not three movies that I visit often ever. They've definitely got their moments, but they just went so over the board with the CGI in that it sort of took me out. When you've had something so pure as the first three films, like filmed in New Zealand and stuff. And I know The Hobbit was probably filmed in New Zealand as well, but you didn't get the same sort of feeling as you did in them first three films. So I wouldn't say no to more Lord of the Rings films. Just the only thing with this is that I'm not super like excited about the story that we're going to be getting. So it's been announced, new Lord of the Rings movie announced for 2026. So this is going to be a quick turnaround. Lord of the Rings Hunt for Gollum, directed by Andy Serkis. I'm just not Gollum's biggest fan. Like, I'm a Strider fan all day long. I'm a Legolas fan. I just feel like there's cooler aspects of the Lord of the Rings franchise that we could go into and get better films from. I just think Gollum, it's been done and dusted. Like, he was a heavy character in the first trilogy. He was there in The Hobbit. Obviously not a mainstay, but I'm not sure. And as Andy Serkis as a director, I'm not convinced. Like, he did that. Is it Mowgli on Netflix, which was that was fine. Then there was is Venom, Let There Be Carnage, which did he also direct? No, he didn't direct it.
Yeah, he did.
What? No, he didn't direct the first Venom.
No.
That was
Let There Be Carnage.
Rupert Feist.
Whatever. I just think I don't know. Like, Andy Serkis is a big name, so when Venom Let There Be Carnage come out, like, he wasn't like mega plastered all over that film. And if your film's good, you're going to connect Andy Serkis with that film and just make it more apparent. I'm not sure, guys. I'm not sure. I want a new Lord of the Rings film, but I don't want a film about Gollum. Like, and that's, I might be being ignorant here. Like, some of you guys might have read the book, so maybe know more about this aspect or whatever. But I'm 50-50. There's one side of me that wants new Lord of the Rings films, especially if it's Warner Brothers that are doing it, because I don't have any faith in Amazon doing anything with Lord of the Rings currently. But yeah, Jimmy, what do you think about this one, mate? You are a fan of that Lord of the Rings franchise, aren't you?
I am indeed. I was literally talking with someone about that today. Like, I'm not wearing it anymore because I'm in like, pretty much in my jammy, you know. But like today on a job, on a professional job, like, I'm, smart jeans, smart, polo shirt type thing. But I've got my what I thought was my subtle Lord of the Rings belt, and then the client on set was like, "Is that Lord of the Rings belt you've got on?" And I was like, "Oh shit!" And he was like, "That's cool." And I was like, "Oh, brilliant!" So then, I was geeking out with the client on set, so that could have went either way. A big fan of the original Lord of the Rings movies. I did a cinema marathon with the extended editions last year. Videos on the channel. Cheap plug.
Watching, it's good.
My next tattoo, or one of my next tattoos that I've got planned is a Lord of the Rings tattoo. Like, those movies are, all three of them are 5-star, 10 out of 10 movies. The Hobbit movies, they are not good. The Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power show, I forced myself to finish that show, and it was a struggle to get through it. I was not a fan of that show at all. I can't think of one good thing to say about it other than it looks like they spent a lot of money on it.
It was not the most expensive show ever made.
Something like, I think so. I remember way back when it was announced, I think they spent 250 million just to get the rights. So before they even like wrote a script or put someone in front of a camera, they were already $250,000 in the red. Like, God knows how much it cost in total. But yeah, was not a fan of the Rings of Power at all. But Andy Serkis is, even though Venom Let There Be Carnage wasn't a great movie, I think he's
It's been generous.
I think he's the fact that Andy Serkis is involved is the only thing that's making me intrigued about it, to be honest. I don't think it's a story that anyone is desperate to see. I know that I literally, like, on the Empire Film Podcast, I listened to that on the drive home today, and they talked about this. And like one of the contributors in that has read the books many times, so knows the books. And they talked about how there is a, like, in the Fellowship of the Ring, there's like a 17-year gap between Gandalf first going to see Frodo, going away to figure out what's happening, and then coming back. That's 17 years apparently. Like, whereas in the movies, it's a 3-minute montage. That, So I think from what they were saying, that like that during that 17 years when Gandalf is piecing together the story and the timeline of the ring, that's when this is potentially going to take place. So while that intrigues me, and while I think Andy Serkis is a talented individual, I mean, his performance in Andor is brilliant. Him as a director, I don't think he's had a showcase piece as a filmmaker yet. He did a lot of the second unit photography on the Hobbit movies, but again, that's not much of an endorsement. Those movies aren't great. It's a movie that I don't think anyone is crying out for. It seems like a 10-minute short film that would be a DVD extra, rather than its own big budget movie. Like, no one is asking for this, so why?
And also, we've just got a terrible game that's just come out that, like, everyone shunned on. There was a Gollum game. What was it, this year or last year? One of the two.
Was there?
And
Exactly.
but
That sums up the issue, I think.
It did Diabolical. That and a King Kong game. Both of those games came out at the same time.
Yeah.
Ironically, both characters that Andy Serkis played as. That's a coincidence. But yeah, wow, yeah. Anyway, both of those games like bombed fucking hard, and yet they're still giving it a go with this film, and obviously King Kong with the Godzilla film, like all that shit. They're still giving it a go. So, dude, it's just a bad game. I don't think that's going to impact this movie much.
Badger, you got any thoughts on this one, mate? Are you excited for this one? Are you a Lord of the Rings fan? Like, I've never really spoke to you about Lord of the Rings, I don't think.
Yeah, absolutely, I am. I really fucking am. Massive fan of the Lord of the Rings movies. I adore them, grew up with them, love them to death. They're not my cup of tea, and yeah, I absolutely adore them. The Hobbit movies are passable, in my opinion. I don't hate them, but the best parts of them was, the casting of Bilbo Baggins, and I loved Gollum coming back. And Smaug, holy shit, I absolutely adore him. I adore Smaug. My first video on YouTube was me doing a Smaug impression. That did quite well.
Nice.
That was my first ever video on YouTube. So yeah, I'm a fan of that. But yeah, I smell a cat. That's what I'm thinking right now. Fucking hell, I smell a cat grab in a big bad way. I want to see him doing all that again. That would be fun. It's always nice to see him come back. But I don't know. I smell a cash grab. I really do. It's unnecessary. It's not even based on the book. So
I think if they can surround Gollum with more interesting characters than Gollum. So if Gollum's our Mad Max in this movie, where he's just sort of a passer-througher, do you know what I mean? And we're focusing on like a separate gang or whatever. Like, I just can't see a Gollum-focused, this is your main character movie. Do you know what I mean? I just couldn't see us spending 2 hours with Gollum the full time. Find that a bit bizarre, if anything.
I could imagine it. I could. I mean, Andy Serkis is an absolute delight. I really do feel like if this guy passes away anytime soon, it's going to be one of those cases where you should have been alive during the time when he hit big, because this guy was kicking ass all the time. The amount of mocap what this guy's done, he's just on there. I think he's an exceptional talent, a remarkable talent. And I haven't seen the Mowgli film. I thought the Venom 2 film was passable. I'm surprisingly into it, even though I cannot stand so much of it. But I do think the guy has talent, and him directing, it's going to be bizarre, but I do look forward to it in a weird way. I'm 50-50 on this. I think it's a cash grab. I do. I think it's totally unnecessary, but it could work. As just for the love of God, just make one movie. Don't force it into a trilogy like you did with The Hobbit, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Just don't do it.
Have they not confirmed that it's 2 movies?
Have they?
Oh,
I'm
I didn't read that far into it. If that is the
I'm
case,
sure
then
they-
that gives me a bit more
I'm sure on the
faith.
podcast they were on the Empire podcast today. I'm sure they mentioned that it's going to be 2 movies.
I think they should just leave it all alone. I haven't even seen Lords of Rings of Power, whatever the hell it's called. I haven't seen it. I don't want to. Looked bad in my opinion. Everyone told me how crap it was. Yeah, but a number of people I know love it, but that's not enough to convince me. I'm keeping away from it. Is by the way, I literally don't know. Is Rings of Power a remake of Lord of the Rings, or is it a sequel, prequel? Is it set in the same?
Prequel thing, isn't it?
I think.
Prequel.
I mean, I watched it. I'm trying to remember. It's definitely a prequel. It's a prequel. It's set
Okay.
It's set like 1,000 years before, but you've got young Galadriel, because she's an elf, so she lives for thousands of years. So it's young Galadriel as the lead in it.
Okay.
Because they wake the Balrog up at the end of it, don't they? That's like, sort of like not the end reveal, but like in the end episode, they dig too far into the mine and they wake the Balrog up from Fellowship.
Oh
of
shit!
Ring.
I want to see it now. Why'd you do that?
Oh,
I didn't
mate,
know that.
don't. You'll waste 10 hours. Of your
Yeah,
life.
you will. It's not worth it, Badger. It's not worth it. Not worth
Yeah,
it.
right.
If you have to find a 20-minute recap video on YouTube and watch that, don't waste your time. It's bloody terrible.
I'm a
Fair
sicko though. I'm gonna watch that second season. I'm gonna.
They're doing the second season, are they? Holy shit!
Yeah, the
Yeah,
trailer come out yesterday
yeah.
or today, one of the two.
Oh,
But that's
wow,
the thing. Amazon have invested so much money in this that I think
They
they
have
can't.
to.
They have to they have to keep making it, and even it's almost like they're burying their head in the sand, pretending that it's not shit.
Yeah.
It's shit.
If you've spent 250 million just for the rights for Lord of the Rings,
Exactly.
kind of shooting down to swing for the fences, like.
And it's
I
crazy sorry, go on, Jimmy.
No, I was going to say, but I think that's why. Wait, is Amazon involved in the hunt for Gollum at all? Or
No.
is that no? Oh,
No,
then
no.
My theory makes no sense. Then ignore me. Carry on.
Yeah, because I was just about to say there. So, it's crazy that Amazon have bought the rights for the Lord of the Rings, but yet they've only part bought the rights. So Warner Brothers are still being able to release movies like whenever they want. I think Peter Jackson is involved with this new movie some way, somehow. So that gives me a bit more faith, but he was also involved in The Hobbit. So it's a bit like, oh,
Yeah.
it's a weird one. It's a weird one. Andy, have you got any final thoughts on this one, mate? Then we're going to wrap it up.
I'm not a big Lord of the Rings fan, to be honest. I appreciate that the original 3 films are masterpieces, not ones I revisit that often, although I did get them in 4K maybe like a year ago, 2 years ago. And I watched Fellowship and I was like proper hooked, and I was like, this is amazing. Like, I forgot how good this was.
Yeah.
But then just didn't. I fully intended to then watch 2 and 3, and I still haven't watched them. I don't know what it is.
fair enough.
I don't know why. I think it's the whole fantasy kind of like swords and sandals medieval fantasy. That's not my jam. So, but
Yeah,
Lord of the original trilogy is so good that it kind of pulls me in a little bit. But I tried. I watched the first Hobbit, struggled to get to the end of it, and then I've had no interest in seeing 2 and 3. So when Rings of Power was announced, wasn't interested. Although I'm a big fan of the game, Shadow of Mordor, and then what's the second one called? War? Shadow of Mordor, and then Shadow of War. Love those games. Got the platinum for both of them. Amazing games. I would rather.
Holy shit, those are big
I've
games.
I've actually got the platinum for Shadow of the original one twice, because I think I got the platinum for it, and then I fancied just playing it again. But I bought like the one I bought unknowingly was the Game of the Year edition, which has a completely separate set of trophies, even though they're just the same. But because I loved it so much and I'm a trophy hunter, I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do this again. So I just went through it, the exact same thing, just went through it again. And
So you like the game?
I love the games. So that's contrary to because the combat system's amazing. It's Warner Brothers. It's when they went through that. It's when they did. I think it's the same team that did the Arkham
Yeah.
games and Mad Max. So Arkham, Mad Max, and Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor were all the same production company. Is it Rocksteady maybe? I can't remember.
Montreal, Warner Brothers Montreal.
Rocksteady Montreal. I think it was all. So it was the same kind of game engine. Amazing.
You've just reminded me there. I need to get back into that Mad Max game, man. What a phenomenal
good
game
time to do it. Yeah, Mad Max is amazing, man. It's such a good game. Really underrated.
I really missed out on that, man. I missed out on that, and I missed out on the Lord of the Rings game. I really did. I missed out on them.
You haven't missed out on them, mate. You can go back and they're very playable, and they still hold up, like graphically. So I'd play them. But anyway, back to the point. Gollum movie, absolutely not interested whatsoever. If I'm honest, like, if it comes out and people are saying, "Oh, this is amazing," like, this is a real resurgence for the franchise, I'll go and check it out. I think Gollum's an interesting character, and that's largely apart from the Andy Serkis.